for a phony.
And a phony at the mic.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
The Doctor of Discernment is now online.
You know, much like my show, in that it's a local reaction to things that are happening on a federal level.
Dispensing a daily dose of common sense. No prescription required.
Wow, do I have a boatload of stuff for you, from the crazy to the absurd. Let's start getting into it because, I mean, it is bizarro world out there. And I say, if it's obvious to me, should be obvious to everybody. Oh, wow. Who could have seen this coming?
This is the Fourth Hour with Greg Belfrage.
Hold on to your butts.
Broadcasting from the basement bunker beneath Keller Radio. Welcome to the Fourth Hour of the Greg Belfrage Show. I'm really pleased. More and more of you are watching. You're subscribing. We're up to 562 subscribers. Low number, I know, but I started at 200. So we're up to 562 right now. If you have not yet subscribed to what we're doing, I would appreciate having you on board. You know, we had 2,200 people who watched the video yesterday just on YouTube. Over 2,200 people, which was a far cry from the 5, 6, 7, or 800 that I will get on occasion. I want to thank all of you for being here. So Tom Holman this morning, warning far left-wing groups that justice is coming, he said. So these far left groups that are funding and coordinating attacks on ICE agents, he said about the organization and the funding of the attacks on ICE, I'm not going to answer a lot of that because I'm not going to show our hand, but they'll be held accountable. Justice is coming, he said. He also talked about the rhetoric coming out of Minnesota aimed at ICE, and he asked everybody to tone it down. He said, and he's absolutely right about this, he said, I begged for the last 2 months on TV for the rhetoric to stop. I said in March, if the rhetoric doesn't stop, there is going to be bloodshed. And there has been. I wish I wasn't right. I don't want to see anybody die. And I think that's how many of us feel. You know, we're not out there. We're not looking for people to die. But the rhetoric, it's just got to stop. Because you have people that are inflamed by this. And we have seen it now in Minnesota. Excuse me. We've seen it with leading to the deaths of 2 different people because they, for whatever reason, are all inflamed. And so let's see what else he said. He spoke for quite a while. He talked about a reduction in personnel in Minnesota, and that's following the discussions he had with Governor Tim Walz and Attorney General Keith Ellison, as well as the mayor of Minneapolis. He said, based on the discussions I've had with the governor and the AG, we can start drawing down those resources, he said. And he said the feds will likely be able to target criminal illegal immigrants in jail with much less people, which is what they wanted in the first place. But remember, it was the Democrats who are in charge in Minnesota who said, no, you can't come into our jails. We're not going to turn these folks over. So I will continue to suggest to you that this is something that was absolutely orchestrated by the people who are in charge in Minnesota. Absolutely, all the way down the line. Holman said, so the drawdown is going to happen based on these agreements, but the drawdown could happen even more if the hateful rhetoric and impediments stop. Now, we know that's not going to be the case, unfortunately. I wish it were. And I appreciate Tom Holman saying, please, we've got to stop this. We've got to tone this down. This is why I have been saying you've got people with some much darker motives here that are behind this. They're not going to listen to this. I think you've got a number of people, and you're seeing that in some of these groups, that James O'Keefe and others are exposing, I think, what's going on and the folks who are behind some of this. They're doing it for their own dark reasons. And I have said on the air before, I really believe that what you are seeing are folks who want to topple the United States, and they've got useful idiots that they're using in their cause. There's no other way, I think, to describe them. They're useful idiots to what those on the left are trying to do. So right now, there are roughly about 3,000 ICE and Border Patrol officers in Minneapolis. That is roughly double the number of local police in Minneapolis. They have 600 local police. Holman said he would stay until the problem's gone. But he said we made a lot of progress since Trump sent him to Minneapolis. So the mayor of Minneapolis, and I talked about this on the air this morning, he said that he railed against the Operation Metro Surge and saying, we're not going to work, we are not going to work on, we're still going to be a sanctuary city. So we're not going to work with this. We are not going to help federal law enforcement. This is what his comment basically boiled down to. And so Holman said this morning, to be clear, we did not agree with Minnesota's state and local officials that they would be involved in immigration enforcement. I'm asking them to be cops working with the cops to help us take criminal aliens off the street. It's exactly what I told you on the air this morning, right? They are not being asked, Minnesota police are not being asked to be federal immigration officers. They are being asked to work with other law enforcement whose job it is, ICE, Border Patrol. It's their job to take care of it. It's the job of Minneapolis police to stop the Alex Preddies and the others who are going to intimidate and wind up in altercation. Renee Good would be another example. That's why they're asking for help from the Minneapolis police. So understand this. The Minneapolis police, you got to understand what the actual reality is, despite what people are saying, because you got a host of people who are lying to you. They just absolutely lie through their teeth. And Jacob Fry would be a great example. The guy is just absolutely lying. And what Holman is asking for, they are asking for cops to work with cops. That's it. That's all we want. We want, Minneapolis police to be there and be engaged then with the crowd and protecting the ICE officers who are doing their job. It's just really that simple. Trying to see what else Holman said here. He said, if you're in the country illegally, you're never off the table. We are not surrendering our mission at all. We are just doing it smarter, Holman said this morning. So you're in the country illegally. How many times have we pleaded with people, if you're in the country illegally, get out. Get out of the country while you can. Get out legally. And, of course, they don't. And that's why you're seeing them having, ICE has got to go in and root people out. And primarily what they're focused on are criminal illegal aliens. Let's go to the Raw story, which is pretty left. So the Holman said the president wants this fixed. I'm going to fix it, he said. So CNN pressed Holman to explain who had made the decisions that sparked the violence that he was sent to tamp down. So CNN was asking, they ask questions they know the answer to. You and I know the answer to why. Why is Tom Holman in Minneapolis? We know why. We had two agitators. I'm getting better at not using the word protester. Two agitators who wind up getting shot and killed. I think it's pretty clear why Tom Homan is there, trying to tamp down the violence that we have seen in Minneapolis. So CNN is asking Holman, how did this happen? The death of Alex Preddy. How did that happen? Who made the decisions to allow this kind of operation to proceed in this way and to create such fear? Now, listen to CNN and the way that question is phrased. This is why I really despise the legacy media, CNN in particular. They are, who made the decisions to allow this kind of operation to proceed and to create such fear? So it's the fault now, in the viewpoint of CNN, it's the fault of the Trump administration. It's the Trump administration that's creating fear. I don't see it that way. I don't see them as creating fear. I see them insisting that people abide by the law. And I see them insisting that they're going to enforce the law. Whether you like it or not, they're going to enforce the law. It's just that clear. So Holman talked about Joe Biden. He said, well, look, the Border Patrol last 4 years under Joe Biden, we had an open border where 10, 12,000 people a day are coming across a border. Border Patrol got overwhelmed, which means we send thousands of ICE agents down there to help deal with the humanitarian crisis, help secure the border. Now we have millions of people released in this nation, many unvetted. Now we've got to find them. Before the big, beautiful bill, we had a total just under 5,000 deportation officers to look for millions of people. It's a great point. So 5,000 officers, and you're looking for millions of people. So the big, beautiful bill comes along. Suddenly, then why are you having to fund ICE at these levels? Because the Democrats under Joe Biden, this problem just exploded. They opened the borders. They allow this to go on. And the adults in the room, as I've said before, it takes the adults in the room have to come and clean up the mess. And that's what we're seeing here yet again. So he says, we needed Border Patrol to come and help on our mission now. The reason for the massive deployment is because of the threats, because of the violence. Our officers need to be protected. If I'm on operation and arrest team, I'm going to a house, I've got to be busy with that guy, that dangerous guy, and I can't keep looking over my shoulder. What's happening outside the house? So we brought extra resources in to provide that kind of security. And as I said, and I'm going to stop there because that's what Holman is asking for from police. So ICE goes in and they're dealing with people that are dangerous, dealing with them. They don't want to have to be worried about the Alex Preddys and the Renee Goods who are out and causing trouble. Let local law enforcement keep law and order, right? This is so just crystal clear, I think, to many, many of us. And so the way that the media and the Democrats respond is just like, I mean, I feel like my brain's going to explode most days. Holman also said this morning, I want to be clear. I don't read a lot of social media. I don't read a lot of media because I don't believe half of what I see. Smart. I'm telling you the same thing, especially on social media. Don't believe a lot of what you see. I do not use social media generally in compiling the radio show. Not at all. I am going to share some comments from X from folks who are on the platform. But I think Holman is absolutely right. We are not, capital letters, not surrendering the president's mission on immigration enforcement. nor should they. So he's making it very, very clear. Yeah, they're trying to work with local officials. They're trying to, which is difficult because they're woo. So they're trying to work with local officials, but they're going to enforce the law. You can't make it any more clear, but it doesn't matter. I think you just see folks who are got their own priorities. New York Post has a story this morning. The Border Patrol chief, Greg Bovino, who was sent out of Minneapolis, now he's in, he has released his first public statement now since leaving Minneapolis. And he said to the agents of Border Patrol, he said, "I've got your back now and always. I love you. I support you. I salute you." He said it while standing in front of Mount Rushmore in a video that was posted yesterday. So, yeah, he was standing right in front of Mount Rushmore as he recorded this. So Bovino had been ordered out of the Twin Cities earlier this week on his way back to California and letting the men and women of Border Patrol know that he continues to stand with them. Pam Bondi said on X, and this would have been late yesterday, she had a post on X. She said, "Minnesota arrests. I'm on the ground in Minneapolis today. Federal agents have arrested 16 Minnesota rioters for allegedly assaulting federal law enforcement, people who have been resisting and impeding our federal law enforcement agents. We expect more arrests to come," Bondi said. "I've said it before. I'll say it again. Nothing will stop President Trump and this Department of Justice from enforcing the law." There was a comment by Greg Gutfeld of Fox News that caught my attention. Gutfeld said, "What's missing in the video of Preddy spitting on an agent and smashing the SUV's brake lights," he says, "the police arresting him for unlawful acts like assault, which would have altered future events. His family will have quite a lawsuit against the city, the mayor, and the state." Now, I want to dissect what Gutfeld is saying here. He is spot on correct. So what's missing in the video? We talked about the video on the show this morning, spitting on this agent, smashing the SUV's brake lights. What's missing? Where are the police? Where were the local police? Nowhere. And what Gutfeld is saying is now, because police were not there and police did not play a role and police are not, stopping these kinds of things, Gutfeld is foreseeing quite a lawsuit against the city, the mayor, and the state because of that. And I think he's making a pretty compelling point there. Somebody I really admire is Scott Jennings. He's on CNN a lot. He's like the lone conservative talking head on some of the CNN panel shows. So Scott Jennings was reacting to the prosecutor in Philadelphia vowing to hunt down wannabe Nazi ICE agents. You may have heard this yesterday. And again, it's mind-blowing. So this is what's going on in Philadelphia. You have this prosecutor claiming he's going to hunt down wannabe Nazis. That's the terminology he's using, ICE agents. And Scott Jennings says, the fact that Democrats cannot in unison condemn a Looney Tunes prosecutor for vowing to hunt down ICE agents like Nazis is beyond chilling. Yeah, it is. It is beyond chilling. It's incredible. I listen, even Democrats in the region, Amy Klobuchar, in her response to what's going on. I thought she was somebody, okay, we have moved so far beyond the point of we are not just a country of simple disagreements anymore. Democrats and Republicans, okay, we have our differences of opinion. We look at things differently. I see things differently than you do, so on. So we have our differences of opinion. No, now it's just like crazy town. It is absolute crazy town. And Amy Klobuchar, she's out there, and the comments that she's making, what has happened to these people? I mean, that is beyond just drinking the Kool-Aid. I mean, wow. That is just checking out from any kind of what are their values? You have to ask yourself, what kind of values drive these folks to this level of just crazy off the wall comments? Absolutely incredible to me. Iowa Senator Joni Ernst was on the program this morning, and she introduced legislation today. And I visited with her about that this morning. If you missed it, you'll be able to find it in my podcast at kello.com. But Senator Ernst introducing legislation today targeting fraud in federal programs. She said it's absolutely unacceptable that the fraud running rampant in Minnesota could end up costing taxpayers more than $9 billion. She said, my putting an end to leering about fraud act. She didn't mention that this morning. I wish she had. That's great. Putting an end to leering about fraud act. Remember, the N was missing the learning center. Will ensure that this never happens again by putting more safeguards in place to detect scams early and require the recovery of any money ripped off from taxpayers. Certainly sounds good. I hope it can produce those kinds of results. If you are not a subscriber of the Greg Belfrage Show on YouTube, please consider becoming one. We're up to 562 subscribers. More and more of you are joining. In fact, I think a few of you yesterday after I said, I go on the air and I see an increase in subscribers. So I asked people on Kello Radio to please subscribe, and they do. I ask you, the folks who are watching, now I know a number of you are already subscribed, so I'm not trying to be demeaning. But yesterday, again, my YouTube on video had over 2,200 people that watched it, and only a small number of those are subscribers. So hit the subscribe button, really makes a difference. Hit the like button if you're watching on Facebook. Share it if you're watching on X. I'm getting more and more engagement and from people on X, which is also greatly appreciated. I love engaging with you on all of these platforms. And I thank you for that. And I'm interested. I've been thinking about TikTok now with TikTok in the United States. So, coming to a deal, TikTok in the United States, and what that might mean. It's an incredible platform. It's got a lot of people on it. What do you think? Should the Greg Belfrage Show go on TikTok? I'd welcome your thoughts. All right, you have made it to the end of the video, so you are a part of my gallery of champions. Special salute to the Bunker Brigade. Those are the folks who are commenting, engaging, and liking and sharing, and I appreciate all of you so much. I appreciate your time, too. Thank you so much for being here. So until tomorrow, my friends, I'm underground and gone.